A storm can rise in a person's life so quietly that no one around them even notices. A smile can hide a breaking heart. A routine day can carry a burden so heavy it feels impossible to breathe under it. Someone listening right now knows exactly what that feels like. You've been fighting battles no one sees, praying prayers that feel like they go unanswered, holding on when every part of you has wanted to let go. You've wondered if God noticed, if He heard, if He cared. Let me tell you something with every ounce of truth. In my soul, God sees your struggle, and He's sending you help very soon. There is a moment in every believer's life where the night seems darkest. In that silence, doubts creep in like unwanted visitors. You wonder why things had to get this difficult, why the answers haven't shown up yet, why the people you counted on couldn't carry you through the storm. But God has a way of stepping into the shadows precisely when it seems nothing is moving. He has a way of standing beside you right when you think you're standing alone. He has a way of whispering hope into the kind of pain that steals your breath. Think of the people in Scripture who reached breaking points. Think of the widow who had nothing left but a little oil and a little flour. She didn't know how she would feed her child. She didn't know how she would survive another day. Her life looked like a dead end. But heaven was already moving. God was already sending the help she needed. And that help showed up at exactly the right moment. Not late, not early, right on time. There is someone listening who feels like they're out of resources, out of strength, out of ideas, out of people to lean on. You've watched doors close. You've watched support disappear. You've watched life shift in ways you never expected. But listen carefully, when you think you've reached the end, God sees a beginning. When you think you've run out, God prepares overflow. When you think you're alone, angels are already on assignment, carrying the help, the breakthrough, the provision that God has ordained just for you. Many people misunderstand the struggle. They assume the struggle means God has forgotten them. They assume the silence means God is absent. Yet some of God's greatest work happens in the quiet seasons. A seed does its deepest growing while hidden in the soil. You don't see it, but it's happening. You don't feel it, but the roots are forming. You don't understand it, but something strong is rising beneath the surface. Your struggle is not a sign of abandonment. It's a sign of preparation. Think back to a moment in your life when things worked out in a way you couldn't explain. A bill was paid at the last moment. A doctor gave you news that surprised you. A friend called you right when you needed someone. A job opened that you didn't even know existed. Those moments weren't coincidences. Those were fingerprints of a God who steps into your story when you least expect it. There's a person right now who has been crying in secret. Crying in the bathroom, crying in the car, crying in the dark when no one is watching. You're exhausted from being strong. Exhausted from pretending. Exhausted from waiting. God sees every tear, and not a single one has been wasted. Not a single one has been ignored. Not a single one has slipped past the eyes of the one who formed you, loves you, and carries you. Sometimes God allows the struggle because it softens the earth of our heart. Pain has a strange way of opening space inside of us, space for humility, space for compassion, space for dependence on the one who never fails. You aren't being punished. You're being positioned. You aren't being pushed down. You're being prepared. The help that's coming won't just solve a problem. It will reveal the purpose behind the pain. I remember hearing a story of a man who prayed for years for his life to change. He said he felt like he lived in a wilderness, nothing growing, nothing shifting, nothing moving. He begged God for a sign, a breakthrough, anything. One night as he walked, he noticed a tiny sprout breaking through the concrete near his home. That sprout looked weak, fragile, insignificant. But it was pushing through something stronger than itself. He said in that moment he heard a truth rise in his spirit. If a seed can break through concrete, the God who made you can break through your circumstances. Sometimes your help comes in quiet reminders like that. Reminders that God's power isn't limited by what surrounds you. He can break through anything. Your help is on the way, not because you earned it, not because you prayed perfectly, not because you've lived flawlessly. It's coming because God is faithful. It's coming because He promised to be near to the brokenhearted. It's coming because He knows what you need before you speak a word. Every delay has been divine timing. Every closed door has been divine protection. Every detour has been divine direction. There will be a moment, sooner than you think, when the pressure you feel right now will suddenly lift. When the answer you've been searching for will suddenly appear. When the heaviness you've carried for so long will break like dawn after the longest night. And you'll look back and realize that God was guiding you through every step, holding you through every tear, shaping you through every trial. Right now, you may not see the path forward. You may not see the purpose in your struggle. You may not see how help could possibly reach you in time. But God is already there, ahead of you, preparing the way. He is lining up the right people, the right opportunities, the right resources. You're closer to breakthrough than you think, closer to clarity, closer to healing, closer to restoration. You've been strong for so long, but strength is not what keeps you alive. God's mercy does. God's love does. God's presence does. Lift your head, breathe, straighten your shoulders. This season is not the end of your story. It's a chapter, and God is about to turn the page. Your struggle does not scare God. Your weakness does not worry Him. Your tears do not push Him away. He sees you. He knows you. He is with you. And help, real help, divine help, life-changing help is on its way. Keep believing. Keep standing. Your breakthrough is closer than your fear wants you to know. There comes a moment in every person's life when the weight on their shoulders feels heavier than anything they've ever carried before. A moment when the silence of the night feels louder than the chaos of the day. A moment when you look up to heaven and whisper, God, do you see what I'm going through? And in that sacred moment of exhaustion, right there where your heart is trembling and your strength is fading, God leans in closer than you realize. Because the very place where you feel forgotten is often the place where God is working the most. The struggle you're facing is not a sign that God has abandoned you. It's a sign that He's preparing you for something greater than you can yet see. When people look at you, they might only see your tired eyes or your stressed mind, but God sees deeper. He sees the battles you don't talk about, the tears you cry quietly, the disappointments you pretend didn't hurt, the prayers you prayed while trying to stay strong for everyone else. God sees the burden you're carrying and the courage it takes just to stand up again after being knocked down. And He wants you to know that none of it is wasted. Not a single tear, not a single sleepless night, not a single prayer whispered in fear or confusion. He gathers every moment of your struggle and begins shaping it into something meaningful, something purposeful, something that will lift you instead of crush you. Think about the stories of those who walked through darkness before stepping into God's light. Think about the people who felt unseen, unheard, and overwhelmed. And yet God was writing their victory even when they thought their story was ending. You are walking through a chapter right now that feels uncertain, but God has already outlined the pages ahead of you. You might be standing in the middle of a storm, but heaven is already preparing the calm. You might feel like the walls are closing in, but God is preparing a door you cannot yet see. You might feel like the pressure is too much to carry, but God is using that pressure to strengthen something inside you that you didn't even know was there. There is a reason your spirit hasn't given up even when your circumstances tried to break you. There is a reason your heart still hopes for something better. There is a reason you still feel a small spark of faith, even when everything around you feels uncertain. That's because God planted something inside you long before this struggle ever appeared. And now, that seed is being pushed, stretched, and developed by the very challenges that seem overwhelming. What feels like breaking is actually building. What feels like loss is actually making room for greater gain. What feels like a delay is actually divine timing at work behind the scenes. God has been watching over you in ways you don't even recognize. There were moments when the situation could have gotten worse, but it didn't. There were doors that closed because God knew they would have destroyed your peace. There were people who walked away because they weren't meant to be part of the chapter God is leading you into. There were burdens that should have crushed you, but somehow you're still standing, still fighting, still believing, even if that belief is small and trembling. That is not a coincidence. That is the evidence of God's hand holding your life, even on the days when you could barely hold yourself together. And even now, right now, while you're wondering how things will work out, heaven is moving on your behalf. God is sending help, aligning resources, preparing hearts, shifting situations, and arranging answers in ways you don't see yet. The help He's sending might not arrive the way you expect, but it will arrive in the way you need most. God sees your struggle, and He is closer than He has ever been in your life. Sometimes God allows you to walk through seasons that feel heavier than you ever imagined, not because He wants to break you, but because He wants to build something inside you that comfort could never create. There are moments when you pray and the heavens feel silent, when you cry out and the answer doesn't come, and you begin to wonder if God still sees you, if He still hears you, if He still remembers the promises He made to your heart. But what you don't see is that in the silence, God is not absent. He is working in ways that you cannot yet trace. He is strengthening you, shaping your spirit, fortifying your foundation, and preparing you for what you asked Him for. Every delay has a purpose. Every closed door is directing you somewhere better. Every tear you've cried has been seen, counted, and held by the one who loves you more than you will ever fully understand. There are seasons where God intentionally pulls you into a place where you must depend on Him alone, where the things you used to rely on don't work anymore, where the people you thought would stand with you disappear, where the paths you counted on suddenly vanish. It is in those moments that God is teaching you that He is your source, your anchor, your guide, your strength. He is removing the false supports so that your faith becomes rooted in Him and not in circumstances, not in people, and not in your own ability. He brings you to those dry, quiet places not to punish you, but to reveal Himself more deeply to you. Sometimes you don't realize He is all you need until He becomes all you have. And in that revelation, something powerful awakens in your spirit. There are battles that seem unfair, challenges that appear unending, and valleys that feel too deep to climb out of. But these are the very places where God trains your faith and sharpens your spiritual vision. The struggle that feels overwhelming today is developing the endurance you will need for the blessings He is preparing ahead. The confusion you're facing is teaching you to trust His guidance, even when you cannot see the next step. The waiting you despise is strengthening your patience and aligning your heart with His timing. Because if you received everything too early, it would collapse under the weight of unprepared character. God is not just preparing blessings for you, He is preparing you for the blessings. There are times when you feel invisible, unnoticed, overlooked, like your pain doesn't matter and your prayers are lost in the wind. But God has never removed His eyes from you. Not for a moment. Not for a second. He is closer in your struggle than you have ever realized. While you're fighting battles on the outside, He's fighting spiritual battles on the inside, battles you can't see, battles He's already winning for you. And while you're wondering why the breakthrough hasn't arrived, God is orchestrating the right people, the right timing, the right opportunities, the right path, and the right season to unfold exactly when it will bring the greatest impact in your life. Your struggle is not a sign of abandonment. It's a sign of preparation. It's a sign that God is moving pieces you don't know about. It's a sign that heaven is working even when earth feels silent. And though it may feel like everything is falling apart, God is actually positioning everything to fall into place in ways that will make perfect sense once His plan is revealed. When you feel like life has pushed you into a corner, when the weight of responsibilities presses so heavily on your shoulders that you can hardly lift your head, it's easy to believe that God has forgotten you. But the truth is, some of the greatest miracles begin in the moments when you think nothing is happening. God often works in silence, in hidden places, behind closed doors, in ways you cannot see and would never expect. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean heaven is still. Just because you don't feel progress doesn't mean God isn't aligning something far greater than you imagined. There are seasons when God allows you to face pressure, not to break you, but to build a depth in you that comfort never could. He shapes your character in quiet rooms. He strengthens your spirit in lonely places. He stretches your faith when answers are delayed, not to punish you, but to prepare you for what requires stronger shoulders and deeper trust than you had before. Many people give up in the silent seasons because the silence feels like abandonment. But silence is not rejection, it is strategy. God often withdraws the noise so you can learn to discern His presence more clearly. He removes certain people so you won't mistake their support for His power. He closes certain doors so you won't settle for less than what He prepared. You may feel isolated, but you are not alone. You may feel forgotten, but you are being refined. You may feel stuck, but you are actually being positioned for something you could not receive had you moved earlier or faster. Think about the moments in life when you felt as if nothing was going right. You prayed, but the answers didn't come. You hoped, but the situation didn't change. You fought, you endured, and still it looked like you were standing in the same place. Yet in those unseen hours, God was arranging conversations you didn't hear, aligning opportunities you didn't know existed, protecting you from battles you never had to fight. His hand was on you even when you couldn't feel it. His plan was unfolding even when you couldn't perceive it. His timing was working even when your patience was wearing thin. There are things God will only reveal after the waiting builds the strength to carry what you asked for. If He gave you the blessing too early, it would overwhelm you. If He opened the door too soon, you wouldn't be ready to walk through it. If He lifted the burden before its purpose was complete, you would miss the growth hidden inside the struggle. God does not delay to harm you. He delays to equip you. He doesn't hold back because you're unworthy, but because He's preparing something worthy of the faith you've shown. And while you may not understand the reasons for the season you're in, trust that nothing is wasted. Every tear has purpose. Every prayer has been heard. Every quiet night has been seen by the one who watches over you. The slow seasons are sacred because they separate you from what is temporary and point you back to what is eternal. They teach you to rely on God in a way that success never could. They reveal that strength is not found in what you can control, but in what you surrender. God is doing more in your silence than you could see in your noise. He is preparing a way where there seems to be no way. He is shaping the breakthrough long before it reaches your hands. He is working all things together in ways that will make sense only when the appointed time arrives. There are moments in life when you feel as if the weight you carry has become heavier than your strength. You look around and wonder if anyone truly understands what you're fighting through, what storms you're standing in, what nights you've cried your way through without anyone noticing. But in those very moments, when your spirit feels stretched and worn thin, something sacred is happening beneath the surface. God is not ignoring you. He is not punishing you. And He has not left you alone. Instead, He is preparing a form of help that is greater than anything you have imagined. And He is shaping your strength through the pressure you're enduring. The struggle may feel unending, but every part of it is building something inside you that will make sense in a way it never could have without the hardship you're facing right now. There is a part of you that God is developing, your endurance, your faith, your depth, your compassion. And these things cannot be built in seasons of ease. They are formed in seasons of testing. They grow in seasons where the answers don't come quickly and where the path isn't clear. God allows you to walk through struggle not because He wants you to feel defeated, but because He is clearing away anything that keeps you from seeing who He created you to be. Sometimes He has to strip away distractions, remove false supports, and let certain things fall apart so new strength can form within you. The very storm you are questioning may be the tool He is using to realign your life with His purpose. When you feel tired, it is easy to mistake exhaustion for abandonment. But exhaustion is simply the result of fighting a long battle, and God knows exactly how long you've been holding on. He sees the tears you didn't talk about, and the thoughts you never shared, the moments you almost gave up but didn't. He sees your quiet persistence, your hidden prayers, and the courage it takes to keep showing up when everything in you wants to retreat. None of this is unnoticed. None of this is wasted. Every step you've taken in faith has been recorded in heaven. And God is using it to shape the breakthrough that is already on its way. There are seasons when God allows you to struggle because He wants you to discover the strength He placed inside you. But there are also seasons when the help you've been waiting for suddenly appears and you realize God was working behind the scenes the entire time. Help is not always loud. Sometimes it comes quietly. It may arrive as a shift in your heart, a person entering your life at the perfect moment, a door opening you never even considered, or a burden lifting in a way you can't fully explain. What you are facing now is not a sign that God has forgotten you. It is a sign that He is preparing to deliver what you've been praying for in a way that will leave no doubt it came from His hand. What feels like pressure is often preparation. What feels like delay is often divine timing. What feels like unanswered prayers are often answers being formed in a way you don't yet see. God is shaping the kind of strength that you do not lose when life gets difficult again. He is building resilience, character, and a deeper trust that cannot be shaken by the next storm that comes. The struggle you are in is not just about surviving, it is about becoming. And while the journey has been long and the nights have been heavy, the help He is sending is closer than you realize and greater than you can yet perceive. In the quiet moments of life, when the noise fades and the world feels distant, there's a gentle truth that rises within the heart. God has never taken His eyes off you. Every step you've walked, every tear you've shed, every prayer you whispered in exhaustion or desperation, He has witnessed it all. There has not been a single moment when you were abandoned or forgotten. Even in the deepest valley, even in the longest storm, even when you felt like your strength was slipping away, His presence has been near, steady, and unfailing. And though you may not see the full picture of what He has been doing behind the scenes, the weight you carried was never overlooked. The struggle you endured was never meaningless. Something has been shifting, something has been moving, and the time is coming when what you've been praying for will begin to unfold before your eyes. You have walked through seasons that tested you, seasons that made you question your worth, your purpose, and at times even your faith, yet you're still standing. You survived what was meant to break you. You pressed forward even when your heart felt empty, and that endurance, that quiet perseverance has not been in vain. God has been shaping you through every challenge, strengthening what was weak, healing what was fractured, and preparing what was unfinished within you. While you were asking Him to change your situation, He was also working to transform you. Now what He has been building in the unseen is drawing nearer, and the burdens you've carried will not follow you into the place He is leading you next. There's a moment in every believer's life when the struggle begins to lose its power, when the darkness that once surrounded the soul starts to thin, and when hope slowly becomes visible again. You are standing at the edge of that moment now, closer than you realize. Your breakthrough is not far away. The help you've been waiting for, the answer you've been praying for, the shift you've been longing for, it's not in some distant future. It's approaching. It's moving toward you. It's aligning at this very moment. God has been faithful throughout your journey, and He will be faithful in what He is about to release into your life. The doors that were closed will open. The opportunities that slipped away will be replaced with greater ones. The disappointments that wounded you will be overshadowed by blessings you never imagined. What matters now is that you hold on to your faith, even if it feels small. Hold on to your hope, even if it feels fragile. Hold on to God's promises, for they have never failed. You have come too far, endured too much, and grown too deeply to lose heart now. The same God who kept you through the storm is the God who is leading you into your breakthrough. The same God who strengthened you in your weakness is the God who is preparing to lift you into a new season. And the same God who saw every struggle is the God who is sending you help very soon. Help that will arrive right on time. Help that will remind you that you were never forgotten, never forsaken, and never walking alone.